Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Just Saying Football with Jack and Sean. I'm your host, Sean Gannon, alongside my partner, Jack McNicholas. We're here to bring you news, notes, weekly updates, and game analysis of your favorite teams from around the league. If you don't have the chance, go check out our website, justsayingfootball.com, and check out our Instagram at justsayingwjs for article and video updates. Also, do not forget we are now on Spotify. The podcast, we're available. It's something we're doing this year. Please go check us out. Follow the bell, hit the bell, get notifications whenever we post.
Yeah, Spotify at Just Saying Football. Go there, like my man said. Go hit that bell. You ready to get these Sunday games?
Yeah, there's a lot of games. Let's jump right into this one. We're going to jump right into our blowout games for Week 8 on this Sunday Superflex episode when the Pittsburgh Steelers make their way to Philadelphia to take on the undefeated Eagles. Philly favored by a lot, minus 10.5, 43.5 over under on this one. Battle for Pennsylvania. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, man. Eagles still the only undefeated remaining team, 6-0. They are at home in this one. They are favored. And the Steelers, man, this has been a really tough season for them. Najee has been struggling. Everybody's been talking about Chase Claypool is about to be out of town. So I don't know. The Eagles seem like one of the easier ones. That's why here it's obviously our blowout game. I think it just boils down to Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown in that run game. This is a big mismatch for the Steelers when, they're about to go into the bye week next week.
Yeah, Steelers play really well defensively, I thought, last week against the Dolphins. The first half to second half, they totally shifted the course of that game. Their offense right now is just struggling, and I don't blame Kenny Pickett. I'm a big fan of sitting them. I thought he was going to sit a little bit longer. I was surprised that they started him when they did. But look, he's in right now, but their offense just isn't getting going. George Pickens looks great, but like you're saying, Chase Claypool might be on the move. It's going to be interesting to see how that offense shifts. I hope Najee Harris gets something going, but I'm locking in the Eagles right now. They just made the trade for Robert Quinn today, only giving up a 4th-round pick next year. So, they're shoring up.
He had 18 sacks last year.
Yeah, and he only has one right now, but they just have so much depth right now that's going to allow them to make a deep playoff run. They're setting themselves up for the future, and the NFC East is really difficult right now. So I'm definitely locking the Eagles. My one question before we get into our Met games, where would you think Claypool might get traded to? Packers?
I don't know. But yeah, Packers would not be bad. I mean, they do have a guy like him with like Christian Watson. I wouldn't mind seeing him go somewhere maybe like Tennessee that really needs a receiver, or maybe like Atlanta across from Drake London, get a couple of big body receivers down there. I don't know if he's going to get traded, but I mean, if they lose this week, they go into the bye. They're going to have to do something with. They're going to have to make a big move somehow.
Yeah, they'll have to. Let's move this along into our Met games. When the Denver Broncos make their way to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Now, this may have not popped up because we put the heads up of the team match, but I did have quotations with Jacksonville because this is technically in London. It's going to be our 9:30 game on Sunday. Jacksonville is the home team. Russell Wilson might be in time for this game, was stretching on the plane, doing all the high knees on the plane, getting ready while the teammates slept with the torn hamstring. But regardless, the Denver Broncos are not playing well. Their defense looks solid, but I think Jacksonville's going to get the win here in London. They always play well in London, Jacksonville. Yeah. People forget, but that seems to be their place when they win.
Yeah, and that's that's funny you mentioned that because, the really bad Jacksonville teams, it was always like they'd be 0-6. They'd go to London.
Cop a win in London.
Now, you got a Denver Broncos team where, they really did struggle last week against the Jets. The Jaguars looked really good. Honestly, I was worried as a Giants fan that they were going to win that game.
What a game that was.
They had a couple of fumbles. They were very close to winning that game. I will take them this week. 2.5 is nothing. I feel like these London games, a lot of them have come down to field goals, very tight-knit games. So, I think that trend continues, and they take this one. Trevor Lawrence, he needs to get a win, man.
Yeah, I think this is the one over-under of 39.5. By the way, Jacksonville's favored by minus 2.5. Let's move this right along in our NFC South. When the Carolina Panthers make their way to Atlanta to take on the Falcons, Atlanta's currently favored by minus 4. Over under 41. Right off the bat, I'm going Falcons. I think this team has a lot of grit. I think they're right in the thick of this division. Carolina's coming off of a huge win against Tampa Bay. That was surprising. That was our blowout game. It was not a blowout at all for the Buccaneers.
13.5 in the Bucs' favor.
And they lost by 18.
I literally looked at my friend's phone on Red Zone this weekend, and I was like, at least the Bucs covered, and they're up by 10.5. And then I'm like, oh, wait.
That's Carolina.
They're down 21-3, and the Panthers had the points. I guess, it's just this is a very interesting game. Atlanta's at home. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to take them and the -4 in their favor. I do like the spark that Carolina showed me last week, so I'm going to take the over on the 41. I think that is a little low for this game.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Atlanta's shown they can definitely put up points at times, and Carolina last week showed that. Steve Wilkes, the interim head coach right now for Carolina, did say that he will stick with PJ Walker even when Darnold and Baker are fully healthy. So that's something to monitor just to see. Last year, PJ Walker struggled a lot. This year's doing great. Love to see what we saw last week. I do think just the Falcons, though, they're playing with a lot more grit than I think I just said that earlier. And I'm sorry for repeating myself, but they just been playing. Yeah, they just been playing with something a little bit extra to them. Don't disrespect them.
People have been talking about how their game plan. The Atlanta Falcons. You have no idea what team you're going to play. You're going to play the team that destroyed the 49ers, the one that, is having Marcus Mariota get 3 total touchdowns on 12 total passes. I mean, it's not the prettiest way of getting it done, but Atlanta is winning games, and the way the Bucs are looking, why not? With the way New Orleans and Carolina's looking, they could just try to run it for the playoffs with this offense. It is going to be. It's an open division. It's more open than you think.
While I get what you're saying, and I do agree to some extent, I still think that more than this is still the Buccaneers division, albeit not pretty.
Of course, yeah.
I could they be in the playoffs?
But if they go into dumpster fire mode,
the NFC East is dominating.
Wouldn't it be cool if the Atlanta Falcons slip their way into this chaotic NFC right now? I would love it.
I would not be against it. Let's move this right along when the Miami Dolphins make their way to Detroit to take on the Lions. Lions coming off the bye. Currently 51.5 over-under on this one. I'm thinking a lot of points. Miami's favored by -3.5. Detroit might have DeAndre Swift back for this one. He's looking to trend in that direction. Amon-Ra St. Brown, though, did have a concussion last week's game, so that's something to monitor. I have feelings it'll be a game-time decision.
Yeah, very tough to see him go out, early in the game, not being able to contribute as much as you'd love to see from him last week, unfortunately. And I know he's been dealing with injuries all season, and he's such a huge part of the Lions team, especially as well as DeAndre Swift. They have been missing the two key pieces on their offense multiple times this year, and now Miami is getting their key piece back in their quarterback in Tua, who is 4-0. When he's fully healthy, plays the full game this year.
Played well against Pittsburgh last week.
And Detroit, I mean, they're at home. Miami has been playing very well. But I do think Miami really has the keys to go and be a good playoff team, if possible. They just had so many up and downs this year. But I do like the 51.5 in this game. I do think this is going to be a high-scoring game, especially if all the weapons are healthy. These defenses, you were talking about Pittsburgh. With Miami, it's kind of the same thing. They played really well last week, but it is going to be... This game, I don't see it. Byron Jones, he's out for the season now, torn ACL, so it is going to open up a little bit more for the passing game. Josh Reynolds, TJ Hawkinson could get involved a little bit this week. But I will go with Miami. Unfortunately, man, we love Detroit coming in, but now they're 1-5.
Look, if you're Detroit, though, you're happy about Aiden Hutchinson, that's for sure. He's getting some sacks out there, but I'm definitely just going with the Dolphins on this one. I think the injuries right now, the Lions are killing them, and that's apparent. I still have full faith in them and Dan Campbell. When the Dolphins' offense is firing, man, do they look fucking great.
Yeah, and
sorry
they
for cursing.
Got 2 receivers in the top 5 receivers.
Exactly.
That's what we expected.
And there's just so much speed. Don't forget they got Raheem Mostert, so that they can do a lot.
Mike Gesicki's getting involved. It's crazy.
Yeah, finally. Let's move this right along when the Las Vegas Raiders make their way to New Orleans to take on the Saints. 49.5 over under on this one. Vegas is favored by 1.5. Andy Dalton will get the start in this one. Jameis Winston is fully healthy. They just like the way that Andy Dalton's been operating the offense.
Yeah, honestly, and if Michael Thomas does play this week and Chris Olave is fully back, he is looking great this year. I am interested in these teams. I feel like every week we've talked about how their backs are against the wall. They have had a slower start than we had expected. Yep. And now, they have a chance to really face off. This is a really exciting running back matchup, especially for fantasy. Alvin Kamara And obviously this year we've been talking about it. What's the big point about him this year?
He hasn't gotten a touchdown, and I will say he's going to get his first one this weekend, and the Saints will also get the win. Raiders right now, to me, are playing really questionable. We're hearing a lot of trade rumors around some of their former first-round picks, which is fine. I get it. You want to clear house, new management, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But you take away Andy Dalton's 2 back-to-back pick sixes, and that comeback that they had, you take off 14 points off the board, and all of a sudden that's a Saints win. One of them was unlucky. One of them was a bad decision on his part.
Yeah.
I have faith in this offense. I do think Andy Dalton has been able to move the ball down the field. They get Michael Thomas into the fold. All of a sudden, they're a winning team against the Raiders. I just think that with the Raiders right now, they're so inconsistent with how they're playing. Some quarters are this great team. Other quarters, it's just not great football from them. They're too much of a question mark. At least with the Saints, we know that they can keep games close. They're getting close to these wins at times. Like I said last week, they almost beat the Vikings. They could have beaten us. They had momentum.
These Saints are like seven.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm going with them, and they still have a solid defense, albeit they're not playing to the level that we know that they can be. But they do still have a good defense.
I do like the Raiders this week, though. I'm gonna go with them just out the gate. I think that we saw what happened last week with Marshawn Lattimore being out. DeAndre Hopkins was able to come back and really be able to do his job. I think the same for Devontae Adams this week. So I'm excited to see kind of what happens with the Raiders. I think that they can continue this streak that they're on. And it is interesting because we're looking at this. They're favored by 1.5. We always say, that spread, that always means we have no idea who's going to win.
Yeah, which means you're not going to like this next spread as we move this right along. The New England Patriots make their way to New York to take on the winning Jets, the 5-2 New York Jets.
Where's the respect, Vegas?
Where's the respect, Vegas? New England's favored by -2.5, 40.5 over under. Now, we have 2 huge losses for the Jets in this one. The first is Breece Hall, rookie running back, out for the season with a torn ACL. We talked about it in our Thursday Night Football episode. I just want to mention it again. Elijah Vera Tucker also out with the season with the torn pec. So they made a huge trade for James Robinson, which was a conditional 6. They could turn into a 5th. They're trying to
which is a pretty good price for him.
It's not bad. And the Patriots had a huge loss on Monday Night Football where they changed quarterbacks, questionable decision, and it didn't really pay off.
There was a little Belichick in your voice there when you were like, questionable decision.
Questionable decision.
Did you see his interview after Bill Belichick said, the game just ended?
The game just ended. That's a questionable decision.
I couldn't decide on my quarterback.
We're on to the Jets.
And Mac Jones, Billy's. I have no idea who's going to be starting this week. It's obviously a Belichick game plan kind of trick, but I'll tell you this. We do know that James Robinson probably won't be heavily involved this week. Michael Carter is probably going to get like 100% of the snaps.
Glad I have him in one of my fantasy leagues.
Michael Carter played well last year coming out of the backfield receiving. Zach Wilson had some of his best games, and I think that they have a good enough receiving core around him. Maybe if Corey Davis is a little healthier last week, Elijah Moore, totally different thing.
Yep.
And then, Garrett Wilson. So maybe it's time for Garrett Wilson and Michael Carter to have, some big games here. New England, shocking loss, but
yeah.
I think I like the Jets at home, man, against the spread. Again, it's like Vegas is disrespecting them, and they just keep winning, so... I'll ride with the Jets this week.
I pre-circled. I don't know if people can see that. I could punch in a post, but I pre-circled the Patriots right when we started talking about this, and then I was just thinking back to the Panthers last week, and the Panthers really rallied after a huge trade with the San Francisco 49ers, and the Jets fans have something to be really happy about.
Heck yeah.
Right now. And the New York fan base has something to be happy about because the football right now in the New York area feels different than it has been the last few years.
It's different. It's different right now.
So I'm once again going to rock with the Jets and change my original decision. I think that this Breece Hall injury and Elijah Vera Tucker injury are 2 huge injuries that are going to impact them for the rest of the season, and I hate to say that considering the start they've had. I want to see more from Zach Wilson and Garrett Wilson and see this connection at full force. He's not passing for a lot of yards. He is coming back from an injury, I get it. But I think it's going to be their game. I think this defense is going to rally. I think that what we saw last week was not what you want to see from Mac Jones or Bailey Zapp or this Patriots team. I'll go with the Jets. I think that everyone in New York is going to rally behind them, and everyone in that stadium is going to be screaming Jets, 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 Jets. And I really think the crowd is going to be a huge factor in this. We were at a Giants game earlier this year where the crowd was a huge factor against the Panthers game.
Definitely.
Jets fans, go out there, cheer them on, enjoy this game, get this win against the Patriots, because for the 21st time in a row, you are not favored in this game, and you're a 5-2, and currently the Patriots are 2-4. There's some disrespect going on right now.
Yeah.
Let this defense rally. Let this defense get this win for you. Then let's move on to the next week.
I like that. We're both riding the Jets.
Riding the Jets. All right. Let's move this right along to the AFC South when the Tennessee Titans take on the Texans. Tennessee favored by -2, 40.5 over under. This is a 4:05 p.m. Eastern game. Another AFC showdown for the Titans. Back-to-back weeks. What are your thoughts, dude? This is a weird one.
We were talking about running back battle before, just 2 games ago. This is another huge one. Damian Pierce, Sean's guy, the big rookie sensation on the Texans, who is now officially getting 20 carries a game.
I love it. Thank you, Lovey.
Is going against Derrick Henry, who had 30 carries last week for the 4-2 Titans. Titans were able to beat Indianapolis. Now they have swept Indianapolis this year. And little fun fact about Tennessee: when they won last week, that was their first fourth quarter points all year. They got
sad.
6 points last year, and they did not get any points. So it's
not good.
good reason that they are not hugely favored, despite being 4-2 versus the 4-1 Texans.
Yeah, I know that they're not favored. I will go with them in this one. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than people expect. There was a video of injured Ben Jones in the tunnel, their offensive lineman, hugging Mike Vrabel, their head coach. And Vrabel was crying, and he was just so appreciative that Jones came out, played the full game injured, kept repeating, "I've never seen a player do this. I've never seen a player do this." This is Mike Vrabel, the former player, by the way, saying this. And I think for me, when you see that connection with a coach and a player, you see that this coach can really rally these troops. And despite all the injuries, they are sitting here 4-2. The offense doesn't look pretty. The defense doesn't look pretty, but they're finding ways to win.
And if they make that field goal against the Giants week 1, they're 5-1.
Or they stop that 2-point conversion. You know what I mean? Like there's only you can go back all of a sudden. Maybe
so
this is
what ifs in football.
Exactly. any given Sunday. But I just think right now that they're rallying around Mike Vrabel despite everything going on with the media and the injuries and all this stuff. I like him for this week. That video was really touching. If you haven't seen it, go out and take a look at it. It was really it was a nice little insight to football. Sometimes the other side of things you don't see.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that you brought that up, and I think that it really speaks to the fact that this, like every year, even last year they hurt. Derrick Henry was hurt. They didn't get him back till the end of the season, and they were the first seed in the playoffs. They're a very motivated team.
Absolutely.
I feel the same way about the Texans.
That's fine.
I like Brandon Cooks, Nico Collins. All those guys are solid.
Yep.
But it's I don't know anybody on the Texans defense right now that's going to stop Derrick Henry.
That's true. Trey Hughes.
40.5, I'll take that. I think that these teams are familiar enough that they can each score 20-plus points on each other.
Absolutely. I agree with that one. Let's move this right along when the Washington Commanders make their way to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Indianapolis favored in this one, -2.5, 39.5 over under. This is a 4:25 p.m. Eastern game.
It's been my least favorite game.
Yeah.
All weekend.
Excuse me. Once again, Matt Ryan, I mentioned this in the Monday Night Football episode. Matt Ryan, shoulder injury. Sam Ehlinger now stepping in for him. Despite the shoulder injury, he was going to get benched, though. That's what Frank Reich wanted to make clear of.
It is a crazy time, but, like we talked about a little on Monday, I think Sam really deserves that spot right now.
Absolutely.
Despite Matt, it's just a crazy amount of money Matt Ryan's making sitting on the bench. But, at home, are you feeling confident with him, or are you looking more towards Taylor Heinicke there? It's a battle of the backups now.
It is the battle of the backups, and I'm going to go with Washington. I like Sam Ehlinger. I have high hopes for him. I think he's going to provide a little bit of a boost for this Colts team that Matt Ryan has not been able to provide for them, sadly.
And he runs, which Matt Ryan doesn't.
Exactly. It opens up the playbook a little bit, but, it is the first start. And I think that what we saw last week with Washington, outside of a huge win against Green Bay, Was the team rallying around Tyler Heineke? And that's not the first time we've seen it. We saw in the playoffs. So after the playoffs in the offseason, they obviously signed him to that contract. But he just adds a little bit something extra to Washington that we don't normally see, and that's just kind of refreshing and super nice. And I don't know, you got Terry McLaurin back involved in this offense again, and I'm just happy.
Terry's he is the reason that Terry McLaurin is as
love
good,
Terry.
You know what I'm saying? We love. But I mean, how many times I feel like in the last 3 years have we talked about Taylor Heineke starting for Washington, coming out? I mean, this guy just doesn't quit. He
reminds me of Case Keenum for some reason.
Somebody like Case Keenum. He is a very incredible backup that could be a starter when you need him, and when he starts, he just adds something, an extra motivation to the team. I'm actually gonna go with Washington. Maybe something that could be sneaky.
Hey, I agree with you.
Right now it's pretty interesting. Jonathan Taylor. I like him, but it's getting a little tough with him. Last week he only had 10 for 58. That doesn't make me too happy. I know that Washington can control the clock with the running game management and stuff. I know Sean's laughing.
I am smiling because Jack traded Jonathan Taylor, and I just know that when he trades someone,
there's context to this. I don't want people thinking I just outright traded Jonathan Taylor.
No, there's a lot more involved. But the crux of this, because we have to move this episode along, is that when Jack makes a trade, and when we all make trades in fantasy football, and you see that the player does not perform to the standard that they can. You get a little happy because that means that to some extent you're winning that trade. Yeah. It was a good trade, but just had to mention that's why I was smiling. That's why we were chuckling a little bit. But let's move this into our good games because there's an NFC West showdown happening when the San Francisco 49ers make their way to LA to take on the Rams. 49ers are favored in this one. -1.5. The line that Jack loves so much. 43.5 point over under. Last time these two teams played, NFC Championship game, LA obviously won and then won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so it's very interesting for Seattle. I'm sorry, I was going to say for the fact that Seattle's ahead of this division because both of these are the two teams that we thought were going to be ahead of the division. Yep. And they're probably going to be the two teams that, at the end, if they get their stuff together, we can – they'll probably be good playoff teams. But right now, LA, their kryptonite is San Francisco. We talk about it all the time. The outside of that NFC Championship loss to the Rams last year, Shanahan's got the last 6 against them.
Yeah, and that's going to be something huge. But both these teams have been so...
different than what we expected, man.
Just so different. I'm going to go with the 49ers in this one. The only reason why is because we've seen this inconsistency from the 49ers going back to last year. Yeah. You know what I mean? This Rams team under Sean McVay is something that we haven't seen, and I'm a little bit uncomfortable. While I love Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan does have his number. Not in the game that mattered the most, but in the 6 other games he has them out of their 7 meetings. So I do think that this is Kyle Shanahan's game.
I will go with the Rams on this one to just oppose. I think that the line is very, very tight. The Rams, they went to San Francisco in prime time and they got embarrassed. I think they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder in this one. I'm very excited for the Cooper Kupp versus Deebo Samuel one. Little matchup here. It's always good to watch. Deebo right now already has about, he only has about 20 catches on the year, and then we got Cooper Kupp who has about 56. So it's not a huge matchup until you really look at the fact that Deebo has been getting really involved with his run game. That just kind of adds more for the defense to say, oh, what's going on here? He's going to be matched up against Jalen Ramsey. I think Cooper Kupp is definitely going to figure it out this week with Matthew Stafford. They're coming off the bye. Allen Robinson started to get a little bit more involved last time. So I think that they have to win this game. There's a lot on the line with division supremacy very early in the season right now.
Also, when you're the defending champs, you already got a target on your back. You're just trying to make it back in the playoffs, and sometimes that's harder to do, and we're seeing that right now. Let's keep this along in our good games. When the Arizona Cardinals make their way to Minnesota to take on the Vikings.
Skull City.
Skull City, indeed. 49 over under right now. Minnesota's favored by 3.5. I'm rocking with the Vikings. Got to go with my squad. We're 5-1 under Kevin O'Connell right now. We're rocking a nice, I think, 4-game win 4-game win streak. That's kind of nice. Coming off the bye.
I like that.
Yeah, coming off the bye, which is always nice. I think, because it's a time of self-reflection as a team. Say, what are the things we haven't done super well? What are the things we have done really well? What are the things we can improve upon? And I found an area I thought they can improve upon, which is passing defense. We've been letting up a lot of passing yards. Both Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle had over 120 yards on us. So we got to tighten that up a little bit. We got DeAndre Hopkins coming in. While I do like the Cardinals a lot, I think this offense can be a lot of fun. We saw that their defense, when it's firing, it is looking great. Isaiah Simmons, an absolute beast, running with incredible speed as a linebacker down the sideline for the pick six.
Fast.
Yeah, but this was a close game last year, and we're a very different Vikings team. We are winning these close games. If you look at all of our games, with the exception of the Packers game, and maybe the Bears game, which was still really, really close. We barely won that game. We haven't really dominated games.
Yeah.
We did not play well against offense.
Playing good football. Keeping it in.
And the huge difference between Zimmer and Kevin O'Connell is that last year we weren't winning the one-score games. Now we're winning these one-score games when we have to. I'm just going to go with them. That's my squad. Skull City. Let's get to 6-1.
I will agree with you, and I do like them at 3.5. Like you said last week, I think the Cardinals were really bolstered off of Andy Dalton getting 2 interceptions back-to-back, which really killed them. The Cardinals defense, I don't think, can have a repeated performance against a team like the Vikings, who they have just so many people to cover. I feel like last week, it was a little more limited with New Orleans. So
love that.
I think Kirk Cousins this week, I think he's actually a really good play. I know a lot of people have been saying, should I start him or Aaron Rodgers? I do like him this week, shockingly, in fantasy more.
I would go Kirk as well.
Yeah, so I think he could have a good game. I think Arizona, even though they're on the long week, the Vikings have had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. They're favored by 3.5. If they do actually start scoring early in this game, they're going to run away with it.
Oh, that'd be the best. All right, let's move this along. When the Chicago Bears make their way to Dallas to take on the Cowboys, 42.5 over under. Dallas is favored by 9.5, and we didn't put this in our blowout games for a reason, and it's just because I think the Bears really just played really well on Monday Night Football, and if their offense is able to operate like that, run the ball well, just make smart decisions by Justin Fields, they can compete. I think this team for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I am the Justin Fields hater, if you will,
and I'm the lover.
Us,
that sounded weird.
And I'm the lover, but. I mean, this is the thing. This kid is playing better and better every week. He's making the throws.
Yep.
I say he can't make. I say he doesn't take risks, and then he does. It's 3rd and 8, and he's going to scramble for 12 yards. He's
making 20 yards runs. He's doing everything.
I mean, he had I believe, 15 for 78 last week. Very huge when you're looking at him. I mean, he just needs some help. This is a really tough defense for him to get stuck with because he is the highest sack quarterback.
Yeah, and look, they got Micah Parsons, who I think right now is playing like the defensive player of the year. I'm going to go with the Cowboys in this one. The trade of Robert Quinn was huge. We didn't mention the Eagles thing, and I should have mentioned at the very beginning of this, and I apologize, everyone, but there was a trade for Robert Quinn, a fourth round pick. They clear more cap space. That was an $18.2 million cap space for them. They were able to clear some more. So they have a ton of cap space, the Bears, going into next season. But
oh my god! On top of the fact that they already had $120 million.
So let's just say they got $130 to spend. So they're going to make some moves in this offseason. Bears fans, just bear through the 2022 season. This offseason, you're going to be like, look at who we're signing. I know Mitch is going to be a fan of the show, who's my cousin, also is going to be in my ear nonstop, and Trusty in our fantasy league as well. Also going to be in our ear about that. But I am going with the Cowboys in this one. I think that they're just playing really, really good defense. They got Dak back. Zeke Elliott might not be in this one. He does have a partial hamstring injury, so we'll see how that goes. But Tony Pollard still plays well. I think this Cowboys team is just playing really solid complementary football.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas 9.5 is a huge stretch, but I mean, it's crazy. Last week, New England was favored, and the Bears were not looking good, and then all of a sudden, boom, they went down the field. They kept using field goals. They kept just creating offensive plays out of fairy dust, really, with the fact that he gets sacked 4.1 sacks a game is how many sacks Dallas gets per game. So I'm really worried about Justin Fields this week. If they win, I will be so much less worried about him for the rest of the season, beating a defense that has these players. It's going to be fun watching him and Micah Parsons kind of compete. But I will go with Dallas. They're at home. They're favored. But I will take the 42.5. I do think that this is going to be higher scoring than we expect. Tony Pollard in. I think that he can be a top 24 running back this week in fantasy as well if seeks out.
I like the 42.5 over on that one. Let's move this into our games of the week where we got two. When Jack's New York Giants make their way to Seattle Seahawks to take on the Seahawks. Jack's make his way downtown. Seahawks favored by -3. The disrespect to the New York teams again. 44.5 point over under. I said in last week's episode for Sunday Superflex I needed to see more from Daniel Jones in the passing game. Jack, what did Daniel Jones do this weekend or last weekend?
Showed up in Jacksonville.
He showed up and he showed out in Jacksonville. That was a solid pass to Darius Slayton.
Yards rushing.
Loved that. On the flip, though, hair in my mouth. On the flip, Seattle's been playing really well. I think that they've just
top of the NFC West.
Look, someone I can't remember where I read it today, and I don't. And someone will probably know this once I mention it. But they said you take out I think it was David Carr. You take out the back plate of Geno Smith and you slap on Russell Wilson, and you might be saying this is a MVP like caliber season because it's Russell Wilson. And I hated to admit, but he was kind of right.
Yeah,
Smith is playing
in that perspective.
Maybe not MVP caliber, right?
But if they went and won that division and he's leading the league in completion percentage, people would be asking and talking.
Yeah, and I think right now, look, the Seahawks are playing great. The DK Metcalf injury to the knee is minor, but it is going to affect them in this week. I think the Giants play really good football. I've been riding with them a lot all season. I'm going to ride with them one more time.
Let's do it. Let's both do it.
We're both doing it.
We're both doing the Jets and Giants this week. It's another bing bong parlay.
It's another bing bong parlay.
No,
Hit it. Sad that the Yankees lost. Really hurt right now deep down inside. Trying my best not to think about it. Don't know why I mentioned it. But I think that this is going to be a really good game. I think the Seahawks are going to keep it super close. But Daniel Jones, 5 fourth quarter drives, 5 fourth quarter wins. That's a stat I like to see.
Honestly, if Tom Brady had that stat this year, I'd be calling him.
But it's Daniel Jones. We can't say that.
Daniel Jones. I mean, look, no matter what, Daniel Jones is playing his way into a higher valued contract than I thought. So is Geno Smith. Both of these guys got a lot to do. The running back battle this week, though, is
what size contract is Daniel Jones going to get if he? Let's say this. I'll give you just never mind. Just tell me what size contract right now. What contract are you going to give Daniel Jones?
I think that he would get one of those 3, and he gets 20, 3 a year, 22, 3, 23. He's a former first-round pick. He may have to wind up getting over 25. But
what about 3?
If he makes the playoffs this year, I wouldn't be mad if he got
3 for 58.
358.
3 year 58. Yeah, I feel like that's comfortable considering.
If he took that, I'd love that. That would be about I like 18, 19. $90 million salary cap. But him and Geno both are waiting to get paid this offseason, no matter whether they stay with these teams or not. But man, Kenneth Walker.
Wow.
I just want to talk about him. I don't want to go past without talking about him and Saquon Barkley matching up. But
great running back matchup.
168 and 2.
Jeez.
This guy's a rookie.
Running like a pro.
We knew he was going to take over this backfield.
We did.
Unfortunately, it took Rashad Penny and Chris Carson, unfortunately, facing injuries.
Not how we wanted to see that shake out.
Not how we wanted to see it, obviously. But what I'm saying is, he stepped up. He
stepped up big.
The
guy right now in Seattle, and it's been really impressive. I think it's going to be a good matchup. I do think he'll get... I'll put him comfortably at 93 this week. Yeah, you guys gave a lot of yards last week to Travis Etienne. And while I think that you guys are going to do everything you can to clamp down on this run game because of what happened last week and what they've been able to do with that success, but I still think that the Seattle's game plan is very simple, which is we're not going to deviate from our game plan at any point. We're just going to try to control the ball and move the ball downfield methodically and let Geno Smith take the big throws that he wants to take.
DK this week.
And that's going to be a big one. And I also just think that the way the Giants have been playing defense, we're not giving them the credit that's due for them, which is really good defense.
Yeah.
It's solid. It's not pretty.
It's
but it's getting wins.
Yeah, I think that with the Giants, it's really about the scheme and how the players are stepping up into it. I think that they have a big task this week, but I love that they've been able to step up. This is like what I've been waiting for season after season for them to win these close games. They're on the road, which is tough. If DK Metcalf was in this game, I'd be a little more nervous. But I know the Giants are going to go out with a good game plan, try to disrupt Geno on defense. I will go with the Giants and over on this too because it's 44.5. I do think this will be like a 24-27 kind of game.
All right, I like that as well. Let's move into our last game of the week. And the Sunday Night Football matchup, the Green Bay Packers made their way to Buffalo to take on the Bills. Buffalo favored by -11.5. So you're probably wondering why it's on our blowout game. But honestly, I just think it's because the Packers do have a good defense. They could maybe clamp down, keep the Bills in check a little bit. Maybe hold the Bills some more like 25-ish points.
Yeah, I mean this has to be the time that the Packers get right? Like after 3 straight losses to teams that they should have beat. I don't know what's going on with them. Obviously, they're missing Devontae Adams like the Wolverine meme. It's wild, but
I'm going with Buffalo. Yeah. I think the reason why I wanted to put this in the...
And they're at home, which they've been dangerous.
Yeah, and I think the reason why I wanted to put this in the game of the week is because we've seen this season a few outliers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Carolina Panthers. And
the Falcons and 49ers.
Yeah, where these blowout games or games where they're supposed to win by at least a touchdown, still kind of a blowout in a sense, are supposed to happen, and they just don't. And I think that while it's easy to just, put the Packers to bed, put the Buccaneers to bed, quarterbacks are old, blah, 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 they're just not, they just haven't figured it out. And these guys have been around the league for so long and have had to figure it out that you can't necessarily just say that you're going to walk in and walk all over them. And so there's just a gut feeling about this game where the Packers are going to keep this a little bit closer than you think, and the Bills aren't just going to go in. They're going to put up 42 points, and the Packers are going to throw a couple garbage time touchdowns, and it's like 42-14. It's not going to be like that.
No, I don't believe.
And then it became that though. Watch.
Yeah, I
the second I said it,
there it is. Like, and Sean
put it out on the ether. Screwed myself.
Sean had no idea which was coming to him on Sunday. Josh Allen, I was going to joke, it's like, the back-to-back MVP versus the future MVP. It's like Josh Allen this year is the front runner for many people for good reason. He's an incredible quarterback, and he's getting everything done. I'm pretty sure he himself has more scrimmage yards than about 22 other teams have on offense right now. So pretty impressive that he's having that. He's really got to step up another notch by beating Aaron Rodgers, and he'll be at home. I'm interested in this spread, though. I mean, 11.5. You've heard that stat all week.
No.
First time, everybody.
It will be less than 11.5.
Yeah? Packers cover?
Packers cover. You going with Buffalo?
I am going with Buffalo, but I would say that I would, I don't know, the 11.5 is tough because, like you said, it may not be that one way, and then all of a sudden it happens. But Aaron Rodgers... He's 3-4. He's below 500. Maybe, we'll go with him covering this.
All right. You guys heard it here. Both going with the Bills. That is all the time that we have. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to check us out on Spotify. We're on it now.
Yeah. Just Saying Football. We are on Spotify, as my man here said. Also, Just Saying Football on YouTube. Just Saying No GWJS on Instagram. Thank you guys for checking out the Sunday Superflex. Remember to check out the Monday episode. We got Browns, Bengals coming up. And enjoy Week 8. Big one.
Enjoy.